Welcome back to the shop, everyone. This is our 7th episode of The Weekly Grind. And today we're going to do things a little different. Daniel's out of town, Gabriel's off with his dad, so just got me, I'm here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through different types of chef's knife styles. So we're going to go through the kind of the 2 or 3 really popular chef's knives, and then we're going to go through paring and Honesukis as well, and kind of different styles and different uses for each kind of style. So we're gonna, before we do that, we're gonna do the product videos, just the very brief introduction of what's going into stock this week. So we'll roll that, and then we'll jump right into the topic of the week. Alright everybody, so we have 3 knives going into stock today that I was able to finish. So 2 Honesukis and 1 paring. These will all feature the 52-100 410 laminate steel. You might just be able to get a little glimpse of the high carbon steel poking in out. You'll see a little wavy line running there. So they all have the same steel. They'll all have the same buffed forged and actually mill scale finish from the creation of the steel. They all have 3-part handles. One, the paring knife, looking a little bit more traditional as a bolster pommel. The other 2 more 3-part handles than straight up bolster pommels, but all really unique, all feel great in the hand. So take a look at them, let us know what you think. Hope you enjoyed seeing those new knives that are going into stock today. They're actually already live and on the website, so you can already go check them out, and we'll get rolling. So first, not saying it's the most popular, but it is one of the most popular styles of knives that we sell. This is a Giotto. Fairly traditional. You'll see that they usually have a sub 2-inch heel to spine to heel measurement, and they can be anywhere from 6 to 8 to 10 inches long. It really is that slim profile that gives them their unique cut and cutability. This one has the Honesuki point on it, gives it a little bit pointier point. And what that's for is if you're doing some really fine cuts, julienne, you're cubing things, you really want some exact cuts, that really helps with that. Otherwise, I don't use it a lot. It makes it pointier, makes it look cool. They're really in right now, but at the same point, it does serve a specific function. Otherwise, these Giottos typically have a very nice belly on them, giving you a nice rocking action, excuse me. And another Giotto, here we go. So this you've seen before. This is our very traditional Wa style Giotto, and it is a little deeper, still considered a Giotto. Point you'll see is basically in where, just low of where the handle would bisect it going forward. Gives it a great belly. Again, great rock chopping. So they can Giottos can even be out to this deep, and this is really like the deepest you'll see a Giotto style knife. That's like right under 2-inch spine to heel depth. Also still very elegant looking. This one is more of the hybrid, where it has the bird's beak handle in it, where the other 2 were either Wa or Wa styled handles. And then the European chef's knife. For many years, this is what most Americans thought of when you said chef's knife. Much deeper, up to like a 2.5-inch spine to heel measurement. Point, you'll notice, like if you draw a line from the point, it'll be well under where the handle sits. So you get much more of a high rocking chop on this, as well as these are great for using as spatulas as well. So after you get finished dicing something, you can scoop it up and throw it into your pot, and there you go. Other than that, basically these 2 knives, there's 2 styles of knives, are very similar in what you can cut with them, what you can't cut. These are your all-purpose knives. So can you do everything with these? No. But what you can do usually 95% of your cutting with an all-purpose chef's knife. You want to fillet a fish, you want to debone something, you're probably going to want another knife. But if you've got lots of vegetables and they're really big and you want to make small vegetables, then any of these knives will do that. Whether you want to do something really specific like a julienne cut, or you just want to make them, you know, get roughly the same size potato slices to boil, any of these knives will do it, no questions asked. The next style is, this is a santoku. You'll notice that it has much less point. You don't use this for piercing basically at all, but it does give you an increased rock. And this long flat, this is great for mincing. Whether you're mincing garlic or any different type of herb, onions, having the long flat on there really means you have more knife on the cutting board at any one time, which allows you to mince more. The more blade that you're cutting with, flat surface, you'll be able to mince more, literally faster. Which brings me to the next style of knife, which is among the most popular, is a French style. I actually don't have one in stock right now, and the template is just slightly too ugly to use in front of a camera. But basically, you get a mixture between the European Gyuto and a Santoku in a French. Usually the French style knives are about 10 inches long, and you have a very small belly leading into a very long flat. Great for, again, for mincing things. It has a very low rock, so that blade will always stay relatively close to the cutting surface. Makes it a little safer as well, as opposed to having a big belly where you can really get that heel off of your cutting surface, right? It means it can go over your knuckles and actually potentially do some damage. So if you have any questions about chef's knives, please let us know. We're going to move on to Honesukis. They're also called kitchen petty knives or kitchen utility knives. Cool thing about these is these are basically smaller versions of chef's knives. So you can use them for absolutely everything you can do with a chef's knife, but it's a little bit smaller. So for smaller people or people who are intimidated by larger knives, I make and sell a lot of these for, well, really everyone that they don't want to deal with a big chef's knife, whether it's just too big in their hand, they don't like how heavy it is, or they just want a smaller knife. The first of which, okay, that's a fairly big, this is probably the biggest Honesuki that we have. Still fairly Japanese themed with the Kiritsuki point, as opposed to this guy. Let's get them both on screen here. This guy, so this is much more of a European, right? You could put it next to this and kind of look like big brother and little brother, as opposed to those two where you can see the remarkable difference in the belly and such. So again, they're going to be used for basically the same tasks. With these, it really comes down to what's the aesthetic you like. I can't say I like one any more than the other. They both look cool. It comes down to personal preference. You'll see a lot of the Honesukis, they get that Kiritsuki point because you do a lot more delicate work with a smaller knife. So you can do much more exact cuts because you have a lot more blade control. You can pinch up on that and you're well over halfway up the blade, where unless you've got really big hands, you can't do that on a chef's knife. So again, these are going to be used, like once you get to a Honesuki that's a little bit narrower like this, you can start using this for some of your pairing tasks as well. Like you could pair strawberries down with this, and that's not too big of a knife for doing that. Likewise with this guy, again, very similar Kiritsuki point, very similar belly, just a little bit skinnier. You can really start peeling and pairing with some of the smaller Honesukis here. And then here's just another example of the European style, basically a drop point Honesuki or petty knife. Again, boom, boom, like you can see the similarity. European knives very much are a type and a style of their own. And then we get to do cool stuff too. So this is that typical what used to be a European Honesuki, but we added a cool little finger notch in it. So I've talked to a couple of chefs about this, and they love this idea where they can literally get up on it and be able to do some very controlled cuts. So it's basically a tactical knife design that we turned into a Honesuki. It's ground almost all the way up to the spine, even though it is fairly thick. But you could also use this for a lot of your butchery as well, because it is so thick. You'll be able to get through some stuff. It's got some good weight to it. So Honesukis, kitchen utility, kitchen petty, whatever you want to call them, extremely useful. I'd easily say that we sell almost as many Honesukis as we do chef's knives, because they are very interchangeable. Having said that, these are the three most popular selling styles of knives. You get a paring knife, you get a Honesuki, and you get a chef's knife, and that covers literally like 98% of your cutting needs in the kitchen. So we're going to move on to paring knives. So what are paring knives used for? These small guys, these are great for little delicate tasks. I peel up potatoes, anything that gets peeled, beets, I peel with a knife very similar to that. This knife is named after my grandson. This is the Gabriel's paring knife. So we both have ones of these in the kitchen with matching handles. His blade's a little shorter. My handle's a little fatter. I've got big hands. So again, infinitely customizable. You don't really chop with them. This is a handheld knife. Everything you do, you're paring it. You're paring it down. You're making it smaller. This is probably the deepest paring knife that we're going to talk about and show today. This one you could actually chop with. So this is out of my tactical kitchen knife set. So you could literally not only pair with this, cut the tops of the strawberries up, but you could also do some gentle slicing, some gentle chopping with that. Yeah, super useful. You get into some of the more elegant things. This is one of those new knives that go watch the video, going into stock right now, already on the website. So this is our M style paring knife, and this is one of those super elegant, super useful knives in the kitchen. You can do all your paring because it's thin enough, and it's also thin enough farther out that you can do all your peeling, and you can even do some chopping with it. Super elegant, and absolutely love it. Like I said, you don't do a lot of chopping with paring knives, but you can do some chopping with that. Unlike this guy, this is literally paring only. You choke up on that one. You can do the paring with it. Again, it's got the Honesuki point, so you can do that really fine. Not chopping, but at least slicing, the cubing, and like things like julienne. Pretty cool little rendition. And then we get into two from our mesquite set that we have for sale. This is very similar to our standard paring knife, what we call the ladies paring knife. My wife designed it years ago, and we've made a ton of them at this point. This one is just a little deeper here because I knew I was going to do another one with it. So these are literally two of the same set, and this one's significantly wider. So again, you could do some chopping with this. This is your peeling monster, quartering, dicing, not dicing, scratch that. But quartering, peeling, and then if you need a small knife or whatever short task you have. Okay, sorry about that little technical issue. So I just wanted to back up and say, like, you can't chop with a paring knife. That's not really what I mean. So you can chop with any of these knives, right? Well, when I say you can't chop with them, it's you're not going to want to do a lot of your very long chopping tasks. If you're slicing up a whole bag of potatoes, you could do it with one of these, but it's not going to be pleasant. You can do Brussels sprouts. You could chop up Brussels sprouts just fine, especially if you're like dicing them and didn't want them to be nice and neat and tidy. Yeah, you can do that. When I say you can't, it means if you have a lot of chopping tasks to do, you're going through a whole bundle of carrots, probably not something you're going to want to do with a knife as small as a paring knife, especially when you really need to have something like a carrot or any root vegetables where you really need to have some oomph to get through it. It's not going to be an enjoyable task. Going to something a little bit larger, you get the whole fulcrum lever thing going, and it will make that chopping task a lot nicer, a lot more enjoyable for you. If you have any questions about any of the styles and or uses of any of the knives, the paring knives, the petties, or the chef's knives, please feel free, leave a comment, send us a message, call me. All the information's out there. I'm going to ask to like, turn on the notifications, subscribe to the channel, and please let us know if there's anything specific you want to hear, more details. We're always looking for new videos to make. We are going to be starting the Making the Cut series at some point in the future too, which will be how these knives actually get used. We're literally bringing in chefs and having them show us how a professional chef will cut an onion or take apart broccoli, whatever that is. We're working on it. We're talking to a couple different chefs that are interested in helping us and honestly getting some camera time. So that's all we have for today. Thanks for coming into the shop, and we'll see you next week.